You know that feeling you get when your favorite local restaurant shuts down?
Yeah,
It's tough.
it is.
It's like you're not just missing a dish from the menu. It's like this whole like a community vibe that goes away.
Right.
And that's kind of what we're looking at today, right?
Yeah.
With all this stuff about the Los Alamos restaurant scene.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
There is.
A lot to unpack, a lot of different closures, struggles, but also some successes. So we're going to try to figure out what exactly is going on and what the future of Los Alamos dining looks like.
Exactly.
One thing that I thought was really interesting is right off the bat, a lot of these sources are talking about Encanto Bistro closing.
Yeah.
They made the announcement that they're shutting down on December 13th.
Oh, wow.
And apparently it's because of problems with their sublease agreement.
Yeah, and people online are, I mean, just totally bummed. It
Yeah.
seems like it was a real popular place, this Mexican-Italian fusion.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it does.
I like both those types of food.
And some folks are even saying, like, is Los Alamos just becoming like this restaurant wasteland?
Oh, wow.
There's one comment that stood out to me. Why can't businesses succeed in this town?
That's a tough question.
Yeah, it is.
But it seems like when you look deeper into these sources, it's like maybe property issues are a big part of it.
Yeah. That's
Seems to be a common thread.
absolutely. And, you know, it's not just Encanto, right? We're seeing this with Muy Salsas, too, right? They're talking about how the building that they're in needs all these updates.
Right. And it seems like as tenants, they just can't justify the investment.
Right,
And that highlights a real challenge for a lot of these small businesses.
right,
If they don't own the property, they're kind of stuck.
right. They're at the mercy of the, you know.
Yeah, there's limited control, uncertainty.
Right, right.
It makes it hard to plan for the future.
It makes you wonder how many other restaurants are like one rent increase away from shutting down.
Yeah, you're right.
Or, you know, some big repair that they just can't handle.
Absolutely.
It's a tough spot to be in.
Yeah, and for a restaurant, you need that stability, right?
Right.
To build up a customer base, you got to have that consistency so people know what to expect.
Exactly.
And if you're constantly worried about the property or the rent going up, that can really hinder your ability to stay afloat.
And this isn't just a problem for today either.
Right.
You know, we have those articles about Surfet and Fleur de Lis, both of which faced like similar issues, right?
Yeah.
Property, permitting issues in the past.
Yeah,
And ultimately that led to them either closing or moving.
absolutely.
So there's clearly like something going on.
Right. And these cases, they kind of point to these deeper issues in the Los Alamos business environment. Like one quote that really stood out to me was from Joshua Muck. He said, the costs here are just,
Ungodly expensive.
yeah, he said it's just ungodly expensive. And there are so many bureaucratic hurdles that businesses have to
Yeah.
face. And, he talked about how there are these really arbitrary rules about signage and that those rules have shut down businesses for months. Months.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's almost like the system is working against them, not supporting them.
Right. Like it's harder to succeed than it is to, you know, to fail almost.
Yeah, it's a real uphill battle.
And it's not just restaurants either. We're hearing similar complaints from other sectors of the local economy too.
Exactly. It makes you wonder, is Los Alamos really a pro-small business environment?
Right.
Or are there these systemic challenges that are making it really hard for businesses to grow and survive?
Yeah, it's a really good question.
It is a good question,
Yeah.
and one we should definitely delve into further. But before we get too bogged down in the negative, there are some bright spots too.
Yeah,
We got to talk about those.
absolutely.
Let's talk about Pie 239 and Beef and Leaf Café. These guys seem to be doing really well, actually thriving,
Yeah.
defying the odds.
Yeah, what's the secret to their success? I mean, Pie 239, they started small.
Right. They were selling pizzas at the farmer's market.
Yeah, and then
And then they partnered with Sullivan and Center to get a more permanent spot.
Right.
So that shows some real ingenuity.
yeah,
And it also shows the power of collaboration.
absolutely. And then Beef and Leaf Cafe went for a complete renovation, right?
Upscale comfort food. They're really focusing on local ingredients too.
Yeah.
So it seems like they're catering to a specific clientele and it's working for them.
Yeah, so maybe it's just about understanding what people want and then giving it to them.
Right. Absolutely. Innovation is key.
Right, right. I'm curious, do either of these places do they sound appealing to you?
Honestly, they both do.
Yeah,
I love a good pizza. And who doesn't love upscale comfort food?
right.
But beyond my own personal tastes, I think their success tells us a lot about what works in Los Alamos.
Yeah.
People here are willing to support quality and uniqueness.
Yeah. But let's not forget about those restaurants that are still struggling with these property issues.
Right.
The sources mention LEDA, the Local Economic Development Act, as a potential tool for support.
Yeah. And just to clarify, LADI is basically a way for local governments to give financial help to businesses.
Right.
It can help them acquire property, improve their infrastructure, even create jobs.
So theoretically, LEDA could be really helpful for restaurants like Muy Salsas.
It could be a game changer. But the question is, how effective has LEDA actually been in Los Alamos?
Right.
And that's where things get a little murky.
Yeah.
We have one source, Alan Sands, who owns Sala Event Center. He actually tried to use LEDA for an expansion project, and he described the experience as super frustrating.
Really?
Yeah, he felt like the county wasn't really committed to the partnership,
Wow.
and the whole process got bogged down in bureaucracy.
So it sounds like even with a tool like LEDA available, there might be a disconnect between its potential and how it's actually being used.
Exactly. And that disconnect might explain why some businesses are still struggling, even though the initiatives exist.
Yeah.
It highlights the need for more than just the tools themselves.
Right.
There needs to be a genuine commitment to supporting small businesses throughout the entire process.
Right, like a real partnership.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But LADI is not the only option being discussed. We also have the proposed Metropolitan Redevelopment Area, or MRA, which is generating a lot of buzz.
Yeah, both positive and negative, right?
Right. Some people see it as a potential savior for East downtown Los Alamos, while others are worried about potential downsides.
And it's interesting because we already have a real-world example, right? The White Rock MRA.
Right. That's been in place since 2022.
Yeah.
And even that has been met with some skepticism.
Yeah, one source even asked, like, has it even led to any good results in White Rock?
Right. So that's a valid question.
Yeah.
If the county is going to pursue another MRA, they really need to demonstrate how it's going to benefit the entire community.
Absolutely. Not just developers, but existing businesses, too. Like, what's going to happen to a place like Muy Salsas?
Exactly. Will they be pushed out by rising rents or increased competition,
Yeah.
or will they actually benefit from this revitalization?
Right, right. And it seems like there's this desire, right, for the county to just be more supportive, more understanding of what small businesses are up against.
Absolutely. And the sentiment isn't just limited to restaurants. It seems to be a broader concern across various sectors of the local economy.
Yeah.
Maybe instead of focusing on what businesses can't do, we should be asking, how can we help them succeed?
Yeah, exactly. But hey, let's shift gears for a second.
Okay.
Those social media comments about Pi 239, they were pretty enthusiastic.
They were.
One person even called their pizza real authentic perfection.
Wow, high praise.
Yeah, that kind of word of mouth can be really powerful, especially in a community like Los Alamos.
It can. It speaks to the importance of building those relationships, connecting with the community.
Absolutely. But even with great reviews, one commenter pointed out how tough it is to find an affordable place to do business in Los Alamos.
Yeah, that's a huge barrier for any entrepreneur,
Right.
especially in the restaurant industry where the margins are already so thin.
Right. So even if you're doing everything right, if you can't afford the rent,
Exactly.
it's not going to work.
And that brings us back to the issue of property.
Yeah, it always seems to come back to that.
It does. It's not enough to just find any space. It needs to be sustainable.
Right.
It needs to allow businesses to grow without that constant fear of rent increases.
Right. And that's where, maybe LEDA, the MRA, they could potentially play a role, but
Potentially.
yeah.
But again, it all comes down to implementation.
Right.
We need to make sure these initiatives are actually benefiting the entire community,
Yeah.
not just a select few.
Absolutely. And this makes me think about that source that mentioned the need for more affordable housing in Los Alamos,
Yeah.
especially for lower income residents. Because if the cost of living keeps going up, it's not just businesses that are going to struggle, it's going to be the whole community.
It's all connected.
Right.
The success of businesses, affordable housing, the well-being of the community.
Yeah.
You can't address one without considering the others.
Absolutely.
It's like a complex ecosystem.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. We've seen closures, challenges, a couple of success stories, and some potential solutions.
It seems like the Los Alamos restaurant scene is at a crossroads,
It does.
facing these systemic issues, but also showing some real resilience and innovation.
Yeah.
So what does all of this mean for you, the listener? What stands out from our discussion so far?
What are your thoughts?
We've seen how these property issues are a recurring theme, not just affecting individual restaurants, but potentially the entire business environment in Los Alamos. But we've also seen examples of businesses that are thriving and potential solutions are being discussed.
Right. So there's hope.
There is hope. Hold on to those thoughts because we'll be diving deeper into LEI and the MRA next.
Yeah.
We'll examine their potential, their limitations, and we'll also explore what a truly pro-small business environment could look like in Los Alamos
Yeah.
and how the community can play a role in shaping that future.
Stay with us.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's unpack LEA a little bit more,
Yeah.
We talked about how it's designed to help businesses,
Right.
but how effective it is really depends on how it's actually put into practice.
Right. It's not as simple as just handing out money, is it?
No, it's not. It's about collaboration.
Right.
It's about everyone being on the same page.
Right.
And, if we look at that story about Alan Sines and Sale Event Center, it seems like maybe there's some room for improvement in how Los Alamos uses LEA.
Yeah. His experience really highlights that, the process needs to be smoother, right?
Definitely.
And that there needs to be clear communication
Absolutely.
if it's going to be a real solution for these restaurants that are struggling with property issues.
Right. The county needs to be a partner, not a roadblock.
Exactly.
It's got to be a real partnership.
Yeah. And it's interesting to compare Los Alamos to, other towns that have used LEDA successfully.
Yeah. What are some examples?
Well, Taos, for example.
Okay.
They really streamlined the application process, and they focused on projects that had a clear benefit for the community.
Weekends.
And, they've had some real wins.
Like what?
They were able to help fund a new hotel that created a bunch of jobs.
Wow, that's great.
So it can work, right?
Right, if it's done strategically.
Exactly.
So maybe there's some lessons Los Alamos could learn from Taos.
Definitely.
Okay, well, let's move on to the MRA, the Metropolitan Redevelopment Area.
Yeah.
This one's causing a lot of debate.
Yeah.
Especially that proposed MRA in East Downtown Los Alamos.
Yeah, some people are excited about it.
Right.
But others are worried about what it might mean.
And that's understandable, especially given that the White Rock MRA hasn't exactly been a resounding success, right?
Right.
Some people are even questioning if it's had any real positive impact.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right?
Okay.
The county needs to be really transparent about what they're trying to achieve with the MRA and about any potential downsides.
Exactly.
What about the businesses that are already there, like Muy Salsas?
Right. What happens to them?
Are they going to be pushed out by higher rents or new competition?
Yeah, or will they benefit from all the new development, maybe get more foot traffic?
Right. We need to know.
It's all about balance, isn't it?
Yeah.
Finding that sweet spot between revitalization and preservation.
Right. And making sure that it's not just benefiting developers.
Absolutely. It needs to strengthen the whole community.
Which reminds me, one source suggested using the MRA to encourage developers to build more affordable housing.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, kind of killing two birds with one stone.
Right. Addressing a broader community need while also revitalizing this specific area.
Yeah, exactly.
And it highlights how all these issues are interconnected.
They are.
You can't have a healthy business environment without a diverse, thriving community. And affordable housing is a big part of that.
Absolutely. But, it's not all on the county, right?
Right.
The community has a role to play too, right? And making things better for local businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. Community support can make a huge difference.
Right. So what can we do? I mean, besides just, choosing to eat at local places.
Well, recommending those places to your friends, leaving positive reviews online, even just interacting with them on social media. Those things all help.
It's like we talked about before, right?
Yeah.
Voting with our dollars, amplifying the voices of the businesses that are doing things right.
Exactly. And those positive reviews can be really impactful, especially for a place like Pi 239, which already seems to have a lot of buzz.
Yeah, it really shows the power of word of mouth.
It does, especially in a close-knit community like Los Alamos.
Right. People trust recommendations from their friends and neighbors.
Yeah, it's about building trust, building loyalty, and making people feel like they're a part of something.
It's about creating a sense of community.
Exactly.
Speaking of community, I want to circle back to that comment about rent control.
Oh, yeah.
It's something that comes up a lot when we talk about affordable housing and supporting businesses.
It's a tricky issue, though, right?
Yeah, it is. It's not a simple fix. There are pros and cons to consider.
Right. I mean, it could help keep rents stable, but it could also discourage new development.
Exactly. And it could even lead to some unintended consequences.
Right. So it's not a magic bullet.
It's not. Maybe a more balanced approach would be to look at incentives for developers to include affordable housing in their projects.
Yeah, like what they're doing in Santa Fe.
Exactly. That's a good model.
Yeah, it seems like a more holistic solution.
It does. And it all comes back to that need for a can-do attitude, both from the county and from the community.
And maybe part of that can-do spirit is acknowledging that we don't have all the answers.
Yeah, that we need to be open to new ideas.
Right. We need to be willing to experiment, to learn from other communities, to have honest conversations about what's working and what's not.
Absolutely. It's about constantly trying to improve, right?
Exactly. Continuously evaluating and refining our approach.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, we want to leave you with a question to think about.
Okay, hit us with it.
What specific things can the county do, and what specific things can the community do to create that pro-small business environment that everyone keeps talking about?
That's a million-dollar question.
It is, and we'll explore some potential answers in the final part of our deep dive.
We'll also look at the long-term vision for the Los Alamos restaurant scene.
So stay tuned.
Yeah.
We've talked about all these challenges, right? Explored some potential solutions.
Yeah.
Like LEDA, the MRA.
Right.
But it feels like something's missing.
Yeah, what do you mean?
Well, we keep coming back to this idea of creating a pro-small business environment.
Yeah.
But what does that actually look like in practice?
Right. It's more than just financial incentives or, making regulations easier.
Right.
It's about really valuing small businesses.
Right.
And recognizing how important they are to the community.
So it's not just about the county, throwing money at the problem.
That's right.
It's got to be a deeper change.
It's a mindset shift.
Yeah, a real commitment to seeing these businesses succeed.
Exactly. Imagine a scenario where the county actually reaches out to these business owners and gets their input, asks them what they need, what challenges they're facing.
Yeah.
They could even create a dedicated support team.
Okay.
People who really understand the local regulations, the resources that are available.
Yeah, that would be huge.
Right.
To have someone you could actually go to.
Right.
Someone who gets it.
Exactly. Someone who speaks their language.
And it's not just about the county either, right?
Right.
We, the community, can do things too.
Yeah, absolutely.
To create this supportive environment.
Like what?
Well, obviously, eating at local restaurants.
Right. Supporting them with our dollars.
Telling our friends about them.
Yeah.
Leaving good reviews online.
Word of mouth is so powerful.
It is.
Even just engaging with them on social media,
Yeah, little things can make a difference.
It shows you care.
Yeah, exactly.
It's about creating that sense of shared ownership.
Right.
We all have a stake in the success of our local businesses.
And this reminds me of, Pi 239 and their partnership with Sela.
Oh, yeah. That's a great example.
It just shows how collaboration can really benefit everyone.
It does.
Not just the businesses involved, but the whole community.
Exactly. And what I love about that partnership is it wasn't just about making money.
Right.
It was about recognizing a need and finding a creative solution.
Right. Sela needed to offer more things.
Right.
Pi 239 needed a space.
And they came together and made it work. And everyone benefited.
A win-win-win.
Exactly.
Mm.
So, we asked you to think about what actions could be taken to create this pro-small business environment.
Right.
And it seems like the answer involves both the county stepping up and the community getting involved.
And we know it can be done.
Right.
I mean, there are other places that have figured this out.
Like where?
Well, Durango, Colorado.
Okay.
They have this thing called a business improvement district.
Interesting.
And it's been really successful.
Yeah.
Or Silver City, New Mexico.
Okay.
They're really focused on supporting local arts and culture.
Yeah.
And that's helped their businesses thrive.
So there are models out there.
Yeah, it's about, seeing what works in other places and figuring out how to adapt those ideas to Los Alamos.
Exactly. And being willing to constantly learn and adjust.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We've talked about the closures, the challenges, the success stories, the potential solutions.
Yeah, a lot to process.
It really feels like Los Alamos is at a turning point.
It does.
And the choices we make now will have a big impact on the future of our community.
Absolutely. Will we let these challenges overwhelm us?
Or will we rise to the occasion?
Will we support our local businesses?
Create an environment where they can thrive.
The answer lies in our collective action.
As residents, we have the power to choose where we spend our money.
Yeah.
To advocate for policies that help small businesses.
To create a culture that values local entrepreneurship.
Remember that feeling we talked about at the beginning?
Yeah.
That feeling of loss when a favorite restaurant closes?
It's not just about the food.
It's about the community.
We can prevent that loss by being active participants.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive into the Los Alamos restaurant scene, we want to leave you with this question.
What role will you play in shaping the future of our community?
Will you be part of the solution?
Or will you stand by and watch as our town loses its flavor?
The choice is yours.